And so the assassins that, like, cut all the electricity come and they're shooting at them.
Right.
And May and Coulson are having this argument.
About who stays and who goes.
Yes. And so Coulson grabs May, kisses her, and activates the Captain America shield that he has built into his bionic arm. And so he's holding it out. There's bullets flying at the thing, and they're having, like, this epic kiss.
It is like the kiss of the century. It's what we've been waiting for all series long.
Captain, we have a proximity alert with the planet Geekery. We are approaching collision.
Quicks, get somebody on the comms. Enter in the security code.
257. Security code accepted.
Hello, Devoted Geeks, and welcome to episode 40 of Comm Talk, the podcast extension of Geek Devotions, the YouTube show from a couple of devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. I am Dallas, and with me, as always, is the beautiful and talented and amazing...
Are you sucking up for something?
No.
Wow. Okay. Celeste. I feel like I don't live up to that description.
Oh, but you do, my dear.
This is the podcast. They can't see me.
All right. So, guys, as you listen to today's podcast, please interact with us. Send us your thoughts via social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just look for Geek Devotions. But also, do us a favor. Head over to iTunes and leave a review of our show. It helps people to figure out who we are and what they think about us, and helps our stuff to get out more. Yes.
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts. I'm so sorry.
Not iTunes.
Not iTunes. Apple Podcasts. Wow.
This is why I'm flailing like an anime character over here.
I'm going to change it to my script real quick. They change the names.
And they don't tell us, and then we don't change it in the script.
All right. So, anyways, today, before we get to today's discussion, I want to give you guys a heads up that this past Friday was our final episode of what do we call it?
The first month of serials?
Yes, the first month of serials, which was based around Star Wars. We're going to finish it up tonight. Actually, this podcast comes out on Sunday, and so that we're actually finishing up the extravaganza with Star Wars by playing on twitch.tv/Geek Devotions. Our friend Francisco Ruiz of Retro Rewind Podcast will be taking over our Twitch channel, and he's going to be playing Super Star Wars, which is one of the worst Super Nintendo games out there. It was a pain in the butt to control and do things. It was so frustrating as a child, but we're playing it tonight.
Does he have it on his SNES?
Yeah. Well, no, he has it on a legal emulator.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So
Yeah.
I was like, he's not pre-playing one of his SNES Quest games, is he?
No, he's not. But that being said, our next one, starting this upcoming Friday, will be the first part of the next series of serials. Is that right?
Yes.
We're doing Jurassic Park all month long. So we're excited about it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Hope you guys. So do me a favor, if you have a chance, check out Jurassic Park this week and enjoy it. All right. So that being said, we're talking about Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. This was an emotional season finale. And so we're going to kind of talk about that, some of our thoughts on it and where we see the show going. But also at the end of the podcast, we're going to be going to our Facebook group, Devoted Geek Life, and getting some comments from people about what some of their favorite season-series finales were.
Yeah.
All right, so Celeste, let's talk Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. Now, this will be spoilers for folks who have not watched it. But basically, just kind of some background on everything. The team gets back from the future.
Yes.
Like you do.
Like you do.
They get back, and things are still not going well. The Major has been infused with gravitonium. The gravitonium has made him go basically insane.
Well, it had two other voices in it, so...
Right, and he thinks of himself as a superhero now. And so they're trying to stop him because the things he's doing is actually leading them on the path of destruction that they're trying to stop. The future that they saw, they're trying to keep it from happening. So everything's gone crazy. Yo-Yo's lost her arms,
yes,
which was tragic and all of its own. There's friction between her and Mac. Quake, Daisy, she's struggling with taking on the role as leader of the group.
Yeah.
Fitz and Simmons, they are together. They're married. They find out that they have a grandson from the future. And
from a daughter they don't have yet.
And Fitz is not having this whatsoever. And they're married, though. And that's exciting. And we're like, fun.
Because this is the ship of the whole series. This is our ship.
Right?
We need these two together.
And then... but at the same time, there's conflict in the group because Fitz in the virtual world was part of Hydra and he did horrible things. And then he's struggling with the concept of who am I? Am I the guy in that realm or am I not? And he's done some questionable things. Mm-hmm. Like there's been a lot happening. Oh, biggest thing. Coulson is dying.
Yes.
This is a heartache. And then his relationship with May is evolving. And so now we get all the way to like the last couple episodes.
Which is the secondary ship that we are voting for in this series.
Exactly.
Like the whole series, these two ships have been the ones that we vote for. The ones we want. I don't know what their ship names are, but yes.
Right. Mason?
I feel like there's an official thing.
Colway?
No. Just stop.
I'm going to stop.
Just stop.
All right. So let's talk about a few things. Celeste, in the last bit, we saw some major things happen with some couples. So let's talk about, speaking of Cole and May, what we've been hoping for happens. And it was epic.
So what was happening is they were coming to rescue them.
Right. To rescue
Coulson and May.
Right.
And Daisy was there, and I don't remember who all was actually there.
It was Daisy. It was what's his name? Dude from the future.
The grandson, the Fitzsimmons grandson.
Yes, he was there, and I feel like there was somebody else was there.
Was Gemma there?
No, it was not Gemma. It was just Daisy and Home Dude.
There was a third person.
Was there a third person?
Was it that one random girl who they've kind of inserted because she's an agent?
Maybe. That may be it.
Okay.
All right, so anyways, that's not important.
No, not really. And so the assassins that like cut all the electricity come and they're shooting at them.
Right.
And May and Coulson are having this argument
about who stays and who goes.
Yes. And so Coulson grabs May, kisses her, and activates the Captain America shield that he has built into his bionic arm. And so he's holding it out. There's bullets flying at the thing, and they're having, like, this epic kiss.
It is like the kiss of the century. It's what we've been waiting for all series long.
We're not cutting, are we?
Nope. This is straight through.
I'm trying to remember the line from Princess Bride.
It was a kiss that was unmatched by any other kisses or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Where he's like, there are top 5 kisses in the world recorded, and this one left them all behind.
Right. So here, I'm pulling up right now. All right, so
I feel like we're getting sidetracked.
We are getting since the invention of the kiss. Where'd it go? Since the invention of the kiss, there have only been 5 kisses that were rated the most passionate, the most pure. This one left them all behind.
And that's very descriptive.
This was it. Coulson and May.
So what was funny is they really played up so Coulson has his arm out as he's holding May.
Right.
And he's activated the virtual Captain America shield.
Right.
So Quake comes behind him and she's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like, looking in between them kissing, and then
the bullets flying at them.
So she, like, runs in front of him and quakes him, and then the other guy, the Fitzsimmons grandson, comes in, and he's like, oh my god. And, like, it's just like,
everyone is just shocked by this.
They're like, huh. And so they stop kissing, and
May is like, just stunned. She's like, whoa.
And Philip goes, well, that got you to shut up. Like, just plays it off.
Right.
So cool.
Oh, man, it was so good. It was so good. So that happened.
Yes.
And then, okay, so we need to figure out how we want to do this. Do we want to finish the storyline with him and then go to the other heartbreaker for us? Or do you want to...
Did you know if I want to deal with the other heartbreaker?
Let's finish this one up. We're going to deal with the other heartbreaker.
Okay.
All right, so it all boils down to the fact that they can't save Coulson and stop the sergeant. Colonel. But in the end, May's like, forget this mess. We're saving Coulson. So they give Coulson the ability to save himself.
Yes.
To take the serum and heal his body. He refuses to take it.
I did appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because forcing him would have been cruel.
Mm-hmm. So he takes the formula. He acts like he's gotten better. Like he's faking it. Like, which is says a lot about his strength.
You don't realize he's faking it. You think he's taking it.
But he knows that this formula is the only key to really stopping the Colonel, because he knows that this will boost Quake's abilities. So he hides it inside of Quake's gauntlets.
Yeah.
And they're in the epic fight, and she finds it, and she stabs herself, and she
quakes him into space.
In the space, right? So question then becomes, what happens to Coulson? So at the end, they're having this memorial thing. It's the end of certain things, and they leave him on an island in Tahiti with May.
Yes.
To finish his final days. Because it was like, they say like 2 weeks or something like that.
If he was lucky, he had 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Is what Gemma was saying.
And so that was a really very sweet but heartbreaking thing to see, that he's leaving the show. Mm-hmm. And but it was sweet the fact that he's able to finish out his last 2 weeks with the woman he loves.
Yeah. I also think that whole storyline was partially for the fans, because the fans brought Coulson back.
Right.
We're the ones who, there was such an outcry and such a thing on social media that to bring him back.
Right.
That no one wanted this minute character that was never supposed to be what he became.
Right.
And so I think they realized, okay, if we're wanting to kill this character off, we've got to do something, or there's going to be a revolt. Right.
Now, to be fair, this was supposed to be a series finale, but it has been picked up for a second season, or for another season, rather. So it adds a different aspect. You can kind of see in the transition of things, we're like, okay, we have the story we've written. We've got to finish this out, but they kind of plug in some extra things so you can have a continuation of the story. One of those things is the second heartbreaker for us. So let's rewind the clock back a couple episodes. And so Fitz and Simmons, and Fitz's thing has been, you can't change the timeline.
Yes.
Doesn't happen. And the Colonel has crashed the alien ship into a building. He has Robin and her mom captured. And so Mac and May go up to the top building. They're like, hey, we're going to save these people that are stuck in the ship.
Okay, real quick. The building that they were having to save people from, the Colonel had basically crashed his ship into the middle of Chicago.
Yeah.
And so there was some structural damage. And so S.h.i.e.L.D. kind of came in and was like, hey, nobody address him. We're here to help. We're going to handle him. Let's get everybody evacuated. Get everybody to our plane.
Yeah. So that all happens. So Mac and May get to the top floor where the ship is, and there's Robin. And she's like, they have my mom. And Mac's like, that's all right. You stay with May. I'm going to. He goes in to save the mom. Mm-hmm. And then Fitz shows up. And he goes, May, Mac and Robin's mom aren't in the future. And so he realizes that this is one of those pinnacle moments that if they don't change this, the future will happen. So Mac is on the ship. He frees the mom from her prison. They're getting attacked by the weird ninjas. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, Fitz and May show up and save the day. Kick some epic butt, too. It was a really good fight scene.
Really was.
So they're coming off the ship, and all of a sudden, the building starts collapsing, and it falls on top of Fitz. You're freaking out. You're like, what's happening, right?
Right.
Because again, they just now got married this season. Yes. They've recently made a pact that they will never leave each other's side, but they had to for certain reasons. And you're really pulling for them, for the two of them. They're supposed to have kids. Yes. And so this happens. And so it cuts to a commercial break. Thank God we have Hulu, so we didn't have to sit long. comes back. They unbury him. And he's like, okay, great, guys, I'm so glad. He's talking about his legs being broken. And all of a sudden you realize there is a piece of sheet metal shoved into his abdomen. He
was basically practically severed in half.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no recovering from that.
No. And Mac realizes. Now, up to this point, Mac has had some reservations about Fitz.
Yeah.
Between what happened in the alternate reality.
In the framework.
And some of the other things that Fitz has done since then. Like how he really, I mean, he did a lot of damage to Daisy.
Yeah.
Personally. He's had some real trust issues. Well, but what I found interesting was what he gets down on his knees. He's holding Fitz's hand. And he calls him by a name that we had not heard for a good portion of the season.
Yeah.
And he goes, hold on, Speedy. You're going to be okay. Turbo, you're going to be okay. We hadn't heard that really, I don't think, all season long.
We haven't heard that since the introduction of Ada.
Mm-hmm.
Like, since Mac knew about Ada.
Right. And so, to me, that was a really touching moment because it brought back that connection between the two. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts on that moment?
Oh my God, what are they doing? Don't you dare take another character from me.
Right.
Like, no. Just no.
Right.
So, like, I'm literally, as this scene's unfolding, I'm like, okay, so, more spoilers.
Yeah.
Infinity War. I'm going, oh my God, you just took half the universe for me. Do not take Fitz. They just got married. Do not take Fitz.
Right.
Like, this is what's going through my head. I'm yelling at the authors in my brain as this is happening.
Right. And of course, I'm in the chair next to you. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out because I realize they're killing Fitz.
Ah!
And then they have the scene where Mac has to come in and tell Gemma.
I don't even think he actually had to tell her. I think she knew.
Yeah. So that all happens. This is heartbreaking moment. And you're going, if this was the series finale, I'd be so angry right now.
I am angry.
So how did that go for you, Celeste? The emotional side of everything.
I dislike getting super emotional about characters because I understand this is fictitious.
Right.
But the problem with that is that you connect with characters. You root for them, especially when it's a live action. Because you're like, you are the character. I don't care what you do in your real life. You are the character.
You're this person.
And so you form connections with the characters. And so you become emotionally involved in these people that are not real.
Right.
So it was like I was losing a friend.
Yeah. It was quite emotional in a lot of ways. And I think that speaks to the writing.
Yeah.
The writers did a fantastic job of creating a universe and creating characters that we've followed through for 5 years now.
Yeah.
And we've seen the ups and the downs, and you really can connect. I mean, there are awkward seasons. I'm not going to debate that. I know there's a friend of mine that, actually a friend of ours, who he can't stay. He doesn't know why this series is still around. And he just hates it. Like, he didn't even get past season 2.
Season 2 was bad.
But it was just great writing. Yes. I really enjoyed it all the way through. Now,
except for when they killed Fitz. That was not good writing. Figure out otherwise.
Right. Well, and this is the thing. We talked about how you kind of see the elements of where they threw things together, not in a sloppy manner, but you can see they're going, okay, this is not going to be the series finale. Let's figure out how to make this work.
Yeah.
And so at the end, while they're doing this going away party for Coulson, you think it's a memorial
for Fitz.
And then Coulson, especially when Coulson goes, I wish I could have said goodbye. And then Gemma says, I know, but he's going to be happy to know that that things are going well for you. And you're like, what the crap?
At this point, I still wasn't even clicking with what was happening. I was still mad.
Right. So, towards the beginning of the season, Fitz has to send himself into the future the long way around.
He's in cryo.
He's in cryostasis in space somewhere. And so Gemma is realizing he's still out there. Yes, this version of him has died. And it's tragic. It's very, very tragic. but there's still hope. He's actually there in the present still, floating in space. And so we get a glimmer of what's happening next season. And this is where we're going to discuss, what do we see happening next season? Obviously, I believe I hope the first several episodes. I hope it's not one of those things where they start off the season like, oh, we got them. But the first several episodes will be them figuring out how to find Fitz.
Yeah. Well, and they kind of led up to that because in the end they went, thank you, sir, for the spaceship. Mm-hmm. And then they left Coulson and May in Tahiti and they were going to space. Mm-hmm. So, because there's no need for Fitz to be in cryo anymore because that future is not going to happen.
Right.
So it's I think that what they're going to do is they're going to pick up where they left off if they're smart. Mm-hmm. If not a few months down the line, maybe a year down the line, not too terribly far.
No, I see a few things happening. What was the Kree? The blue people.
The Kree, yes.
The Kree. I think in this next season, we're going to see more of them.
I agree.
I think we're going to see that's going to be the beginning of their attempt to invasion. I think it's going to be what Inhumans was pointing to. Because I know that there was a series, guys, that people hated called The Inhumans that I didn't actually mind. And it was pointing to the Kree's coming. So I think they're going to be bringing a lot more of their element in. Mm-hmm. And I think this next season will take place a little more in space.
Yeah.
Now, do you think May's going to rejoin them on the front end?
I don't know. I don't know if I don't remember the actress's name, but I don't know if the actress is done or not. Mm-hmm. They could easily play it to where she's just done and pull her into the movieverse instead of Coulson. Or they can put her back in. I think, though, the problem with that is going to be that then everyone's going to look to her to lead.
Yeah, I can see that.
And she doesn't want to lead.
All right, so here's a question. We talked about what we're see happening. We talked about the things that took place this past season and what happened in the season finale. In your opinion, is this a good season finale? Like, is it a good... We're ending the season, we're ending the storyline, and we have launching points to go into the future, the ones we discussed?
I don't know. I'm still so emotional about the fact that they killed Fitz. Like, I just can't handle.
But doesn't that make a good season finale? The fact that they've drawn you into a story and they left you going, wow. Like you're still emotionally thinking about this. Like you're still emotionally processing a season finale.
I just can't handle.
See, I think that makes a good season finale. A good series that pulls you into the story, makes you relate to the characters, but then when the finale happens, you're going, but what happens next? I feel like this is a very, very good, granted emotional, season finale.
I will get back with you on that in a few months because when I have finished processing, because it takes me a minute to digest this type of thing. Right. This is why there's still an episode of Downton Abbey I won't watch.
Alright, so we're going to do a quick little break and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some stuff from Devoted Geek Life. You ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
Let's go to a break. Are you a new business or ministry and need help getting your message out? Are you a budding artist who needs help sharing your passion with the world? Need help creating a social media presence that's impactful and represents who you are, but can't afford to have someone else run it for you all the time? One of my passions is to help people establish a social media presence so they can reach others with a message that encourages and changes lives. Not only do I want to help you create it, but I want to give you the skills so that you can maintain and grow your online presence. I offer a variety of services from graphic design to creating a social media campaign to consultation. If you're interested in my help, email me at geekdevotions@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, and we're back. All right, so Celeste, we went to Devoted Geek Life, which is, of course, the Facebook group for Geek Devotions. You just go to Facebook, search for Devoted Geek Life. We pop up, and we do polls and stuff like that. A lot of really cool things happen. What's some of your favorite stuff that happens in Devoted Geek Life?
I like the gifts that happen. Like, when we get a new member, we always try to welcome them. We're still small enough that we can do that. And so we try to find something that we know they enjoy and use that as an image, and then everyone kind of just responds in GIFs.
Right.
And, like, that's the most fun to me, is seeing all the different GIFs everyone uses.
There's definitely a lot of really great interaction that takes place on the page. But we did a poll recently, well, more of a discussion, and we asked, what season finale left you the most shook? All right. So let's go through these. Francisco Ruiz of Retro Rewind Podcast, who, like we said, is going to be taking over our channel tonight, said, the one with Dr. Donna. Watched it for the first time a few months ago, still bemoaning it.
Which I can agree, because that one left me feeling angry and dissatisfied and so upset.
Right. I really enjoyed Dr. Donna, honestly. I was kind of sad to see her leave. All right, so another one from Ronell Kate Gibson said, this year or ever, their question when we were talking about, but it said most of the season's finales I've seen so far this year have ended pretty well on a high note. But if we're talking about all time, every season finale of Lost, and I'll give you that. I wasn't a big fan of Lost, but they were very, very good of story arc, and the arc is coming to this end, but all of a sudden there's this grand opening to some new adventure.
Yes. Which
is how things should be done. I feel like that if you're going to do a season finale, either A, end it on an emotional moment where you're like, you need to know what happened, which is what is taking place with this series, or what Lost does, which is they open up another mystery that takes the plot deeper.
Another can of worms.
Exactly. All right, so Josh Berkey, Arrow Season 1.
I don't remember Arrow Season 1's finale.
Arrow Season 1, if I remember correctly, was the earthquake.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was another one that left me angry because they killed off Tommy.
Right? And so, of course, Josh Berkey, he's from Victims and Villains, who I was just a guest host on his show recently. And by the way, Celeste was just a guest host on Retro Rewind talking about Dragonheart. It was a really good episode. You should check it out. All right, Celeste, why don't you read this one, because I know that this is one for you.
Branson Boykin, when Downton Abbey Season 2, when they killed off Matthew. Now, just for a little bit of clarification, when they killed off Matthew, it was a Christmas special.
Right.
Because of the way BBC does their shows.
Right.
But I agree, and I had the foreknowledge that this had happened, like, because I watch everything behind. So someone said something about he had passed in the Christmas special, and so now I can't watch it. I own it.
Right.
I have it on my Kindle, and I can't make myself watch it.
I remember watching it.
Still so mad.
I watched it. It was pretty tragic.
How dare they? How dare he leave the show and become Legion?
That is one of our fan theories, actually, is that Matthew is actually a personality of Legion. If you don't know what we're talking about, check out Legion on FX.
So is Beast.
Just warning, Legion is not appropriate for children. There are some things that we have to fast forward and skip because it's just inappropriate. But the storyline of it, it's quite interesting. All right, so last one, Celeste. I think you'll appreciate this one. Go ahead and read that.
David Williams, Star Trek The Next Generation, 3rd season, Best of Both Worlds. And I actually really appreciated this because I don't remember if this was on podcast or if it was he and I discussing it beforehand, but when we had my dad on, we discussed what our favorite Star Trek episodes were, and that was one of his.
Really?
Because the first series never went past 3 seasons. And the way they ended Star Trek Next Generation 3rd season, it showed that they were going to have a 4th season. So for the fans, they were going, okay, great, this means there's more.
Right.
And it was definitely a cliffhanger, because if I remember right, this is when all the crap was hitting the fan with the Klingons.
Yes. So, well, those are the thoughts of folks from our Facebook group, Devoted Geek Life. A plethora of great season finales that have taken place there. Celeste, do you have one that kind of sticks out in your mind of a season finale that just you like, what?
I know there have been them. There's been several. I know that Arrow season 1, I was very upset and emotional about for a while. It was one of those that I have to process. Agents of S.h.i.e.l.d. This last one was one that I'm still digesting.
Right.
But I don't know, because I binge shows. Like, I watch several episodes all at once. So typically by the time I'm done with them, I'm like, I'm just done.
Right. Now here's a question, though. Is binge watching killing the experience of the season finale? Because people have gotten to the, well, I'll just catch it later. And so they binge 2 or 3 seasons at a time. Is that killing the feel of season finales?
I think to an extent, but maybe not. Because if you binge watch like I do, I only watch shows that I have not been able to watch. So like right now, I'm going through NCIS. To my knowledge, I don't think NCIS is still on TV. If it is, great. But I'm still in season 1, so I'm very behind.
Right.
So but that's never going to be a show that I'm just like, hey, I'm going to watch this as it comes on.
Right.
Because we have so much we do keep up with.
Right.
So it's one of those things of, if you do it like I do it and you watch the old shows or you watch the British shows that you just can't get, I don't think so, because we still have TV that we do keep up with.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. All right, guys. Well, leave us your thoughts. Let us know. Send some messages on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram about your favorite season finales. Let us know your thoughts on the season finale Agents of S.h.i.e.l.d. Was it as emotional for you as it's been for Celeste, or was it just kind of a meh moment for you? And also, kind of a question of the day. Is binge watching killing the season finale experience? So I think that's pretty much it. So Celeste, why don't you sign us off?
Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Comm Talk today. If you loved this episode, head on over to Apple Podcasts and to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It is very much appreciated. Until next Sunday, stay devoted.
Peace and love!